Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. As you already know, actor Jonathan Majors is currently on trial for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, and if found guilty, Jonathan may spend up to 1 year in jail. Now, just to recap, on March 24th, Jonathan Majors and his girlfriend Jabbari Grace went out to a New York City bar, and when they were in the car headed back home at around 1 a.m., a text message popped up on his phone that said, "I wish I was kissing you," alongside a D'Angelo song. Jonathan's girlfriend saw the text, and after seeing that text, she tried to grab his phone, and as a result, the two of them got into a fight. Now, during the fight, Jabbari alleges that he physically assaulted her to cover up his infidelity, and during the attack, he injured her head and her neck and also broke her finger. After they had it out in the back seat, the fight spilled out into the street, and Jonathan's girlfriend claims that he chased her on foot through traffic like in a movie. Now, Jonathan claims that he never hit her, and if anything, it was the other way around, because she was the only one wilding out that night, and she was the only one throwing hands. So, on March 25th, 2023, which was the very next day, police responded to a 911 call for a domestic dispute around 11:14 a.m. at Jonathan's apartment in Chelsea, New York. When they got there, they determined that Jonathan Majors and his then-girlfriend Jabbari Grace were involved in a domestic dispute which had carried over from the night before. Jonathan tried to explain that after getting into the initial argument, he walked away because he was like, "I can't deal with this chick, I need a breather." But when he got home the very next day, he found his girlfriend bruised and battered laying in a closet on the floor, unconscious and pantyless. And he says that when she finally came to, she told him that she had ingested some blue pills in an attempt to delete herself. Despite the fact that he told the police that he didn't put his hands on her, the police arrested Jonathan, put him in the cuffs, and charged him with assault, harassment, aggravated harassment, and strangulation. Now, in the wake of Jabbari's various accusations, Jonathan Majors has basically been canceled from Hollywood, lost millions in revenue, and he's been dropped from major movies like Man in the Basement and Otis and Zelda. And he's also lost a $1.8 million endorsement deal with the U.S. Army, in addition to losing his deal with the Texas Rangers baseball team. I mean, not only is this man's reputation suffering, but this man's bank account is suffering too. Alright, so now that we got the recap out of the way, let's fast forward to today. Jonathan Majors is currently on trial for the alleged assault, and if found guilty, he can face up to 1 year in prison. Jonathan has pled not guilty to all the charges and has been supported in court by his handler, girlfriend, Megan Good. Now, if you remember back before this whole thing happened, Jonathan Majors said that he can't go anywhere without his tiny little teacup. But it's important to note that the teacup has been replaced by Megan Good. Source, can you please show a clip of Jonathan Majors talking about his tiny little teacup?
I know that you always carry a coffee mug with you. Can you tell me about the significance, of that coffee mug?
Yeah, it's just, it's just a reminder for me, nothing can fill you up. Nothing can deflate you. No one can put anything in my cup. If I'm a vessel, if we're all vessels, no one can put anything in your cup. You can only do that. Nobody can take anything out from you or pour anything out of your cup. Only you can do that. And the great power. Those are the only things that can do that. And in this industry and in this world, that can happen. You can get caught, as my mom would say, you can get caught up, in that, and that can you evade peace that way.
Listen, I done said it before, and I'ma say it again. You can't date no grown behind man who feels the need to carry around a tiny little teacup. That's like dating Linus from Charlie Brown. Every time y'all go out, he gotta grab the security blanket. What in the world is that? Okay, I'm done talking about the teacup. So the trial, which is basically a case of he said, she said, began last week And so far, attorneys for Jabbari Grace have given their opening statements, and Jabbari has taken a stand too. During their opening statement, the prosecutor, Michael Perez, said that on the night in question, Jonathan Majors brutally attacked Jabbari in the back of a Cadillac, causing great harm to her physical body. They said that they're gonna prove that Jonathan struck Jabbari in the head, strangled her, and twisted her arm so hard that he basically broke her finger. And when she tried to exit the car and flee from Jonathan, he physically forced her back into the car by throwing her into the back seat like she was a football. Now, let me say this. The attorneys did not say whether or not he tossed her into the backseat like it was a jump pass from Tim Tebow, or whether or not he shotgunned her into that backseat like it was a pass from Peyton Manning. I'm just saying, it would have been nice to know what kind of football pass it was. Well, anyways, her attorney says that when she finally was able to break away from Jonathan, who was out of control, he chased her down the street for 5 city blocks so that he could continue to assault her. Michael Perez also said that this assault came after Majors had already subjected Jabbari to months of a cruel and manipulative pattern of psychological and physical abuse. This alleged abuse included throwing things at the wall and berating her for not living up to the standards of Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King, the wife of Martin Luther King Jr. Let me tell you something. I'd have paid to be a fly on the wall when he told that Iranian white passing woman that she wasn't living up to the standards of those 2 black icons. I wonder why. Perhaps she's not living up to those standards because she can't relate. It takes a certain amount of struggle to carry yourself with the poise of Coretta and Michelle. I mean, what the hell? Jonathan Majors needs to understand that the same way you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, you can't turn a Becky into a Michelle. But I do understand what he was saying, and it does transcend race, because what he was saying is if you gonna be with me, you need to carry yourself a certain way and act like you got some common sense. Now, if Jonathan Majors had gone out and found himself a Coretta/Michelle-esque woman in the first place, he wouldn't have had to tell her that. That's all I'm saying. Alright, back to the trial. On the very next day, Jabbari Grace takes the stand, and she starts crying from the jump. And through her tears, she testifies about the alleged abuse that Jonathan Majors subjected her to. In her testimony, she explains that she met Jonathan Majors on the set of Ant-Man back in 2021 because she was working as a choreographer on the set. And she says that Jonathan asked somebody to slip her his number. After their first date, she described their whirlwind romance, adding that once they got together, they were together every day, and he said "I love you" very early on and was so sweet that he used to write her poems. However, she says that things suddenly changed in December of 2021 when she came to visit him in Atlanta. Jabbari said that upon arrival, Jonathan gave her instructions on how to interact with his dogs. She responded by saying that her only prior interaction with a dog was with her ex-boyfriend, and she said that when she said that, Jonathan just went off. Jabbari said, quote, "He got angry at me. How dare I mention him? How dare I talk about his dog, talking about the physical appearance of my ex?" End quote. After that, Jabbari said that Majors described her ex's dog as pathetic in a raised voice, and she says that after that interaction, she knew better than to ever mention her ex in front of Jonathan. Jabbari said that that was the first time that she ever felt afraid of him, but that wouldn't be the last. After that, Jabbari read aloud some very alarming text messages from Jonathan regarding an incident that occurred back in September of 2022, which was several months before the alleged assault that he's on trial for now. In the text, which seemed to be referring to a prior altercation between the two, Jonathan texted Jabbari and tried to dissuade her from going to the hospital to seek medical attention for a head injury that she had. Jonathan wrote, quote, "I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions, and as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation even if you lie and they suspect something." End quote. After that, Jabbari texted Jonathan back and said, quote, "I'll tell the doctor that I bumped my head if I go. I'm gonna give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all. Why would I tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you?" End quote. Okay, stop the presses, stop right there. Okay, listen. I don't have a degree in whip-assology. That is not what I went to college for. But just based on knowledge, I can tell you right now with a certain degree of certainty that Jonathan Majors whipped her ass in September. Now, I'm sorry to cuss, but what that text tells me is that he gave her the two-piece and she was sitting over there in that crib concussed. I mean, personally, I can't see any other way to interpret that text, but if you can, let me know down in the comments, right before you give this video a like. You know I had to find somewhere to fit that in there, but anyhow, fast forward to March 24th of 2023. Oh, and just so you know, the judge has already ruled that the jury cannot use any of those past incidents to convict Jonathan Majors. Even though you and I both know you can't ask a jury to unhear what they already heard. Alright, back to the night. Newsman, can you please tell the people what Jabbari said about that night?
The two were sharing an apartment in New York and returning from a night out. My head was resting on his shoulder, Jabbari said. We were chatting and he was scrolling on his phone when a message popped up saying, "I wish I was kissing you." Upset, she told the jury she demanded to see the messages before she grabbed the phone. Then she said, "I felt a heavy thud on top of me, what I knew to be the weight of him on top of me and him trying to pry the phone out of my fingers." She described Majors pulling her right hand behind her back while holding the phone in her left. "It just felt like he was twisting my arm and my hand and trying to make me feel pain."
Now, Jabbari went on to say that Jonathan Majors broke her finger and then she tried to break away from him. But when she was trying to get away, he sort of forced her back into the car. But she was able to break away again, and once she got out the car, she ran for 5 blocks until she ran into a group of complete strangers. Alright, so according to someone who was in the courtroom, they said that they showed a video, and it was not Jabbari that was running from Jonathan Majors. It was Jonathan Majors running from Jabbari, and they said when he was running, he looked like Forrest Gump.
So when he said stop the car, that's when they show us the video of the Escalade in the middle of the street. I want to say 1, 2, 3. It was at least 2 lanes in one direction, because in New York, there's rarely two-way streets in Manhattan. It's either northbound or southbound streets. So it must have been about at least 2 lanes on that street, and the car was in the middle of the street. You see him get out. Remember that 18-inch gap between the 2 seats. So she clearly went from her seat across the gap into his seat, and was, as soon as he opened that car door, you see her in the doorway of the car. Her exact words. Let me give you her exact words. So this is what she says. "He was trying to get me off of him, trying to get me not to follow him." But in the same breath, tries to say that he was pushing her. She didn't say that. That's what the prosecution is trying to say. That he was pushing her in the car, threw her like a football. She never once said that. She said he was trying to get me off.
Because you can lie in the opening statements. You can say whatever you want to say.
Say whatever you want, but she completely, I don't know if she was there for the opening statements because they weren't on the same page with that. He was trying to get me off of him, trying to get me not to follow him. So after she said that, well, she might have said it after the video, but regardless, the video told everything. And it confirmed those exact words. Because when he opened the door and got out, she was right there at the door. You see him turn around. It looked like he lifted her up. Not like, you know how she's tiny. So it looked like he just kind of took her by her forearms just to kind of sit her back in her seat. He didn't push her head down. He didn't shove her.
Just throw her like a football?
No, he didn't throw her like a football. It was like he was trying to restrain her. So he kind of took her shoulders with his 2 hands and sat her back down in the seat. That was the first time he tried to get her to stay in the car. Then she jumped back up again.
Okay.
Then you see him kind of trying to push her back down into the seat, not shoving her, not pushing her head down. He's kind of just back off, like that kind of thing. She pops back up again. He does it again. She pops back up again, and then he just hauls ass. When I say he was running, I don't know if you know anything about track.
No, but some people don't know what haul ass means. Like, it's slang. He ran. Okay, that's what haul ass means.
He ran full stride, arms like he was running track, the 100-meter dash. Full stride, full speed, running like the Klan was chasing him running.
And this is video footage. This is no way fabrication of like a person's perception. This is literally what happened on that day, on the 25th day of March.
So when he ran, she can run. She ran after him. She ran after him for about 5 blocks. And when I tell you, I had to keep it together because I'm a fool. I love to laugh, and I'm that person that if you say don't laugh, you don't want me to be around because I will be laughing. I had to literally put my head down and pretend I was writing because when I tell you the way that they compiled those videos, it was comical. It was almost like something out of the Dave Chappelle show. Okay, so he jets off. That's the first frame. The truck is sitting there. He runs because he can't keep her in the car at this point. And I must note too, they did show 3 different perspectives of that same him trying to get her in a car. So it was from a distance, then a little closer, and then even closer up. So we knew for a fact he was not pushing her down, throwing her, none of that, because they kept zooming in at different angles so we could see exactly how he was trying to keep her in the car. When, like I said, when he wasn't successful, he jetted off full speed, full stride. She ran behind him. So then the next...
Run, Jonathan, run.
Yeah, he ran like Forrest Gump. You remember when Forrest Gump, he ran like through 6 different towns until he got to the football field?
He was running.
I was running. That's exactly how it looked, the way they compiled the video. So the first
Pam
video...
said it's the get out run.
Yeah. And the reason why I started almost like bawling, laughing, was because the next frame shows him running at a different angle down the street. Then the next frame, you see them running through a parking lot. The next frame, you see them running. It's like different scenes of where they ran. And then in between that, the prosecution created like these maps that kind of had little dots following their path on the map. So they were turning corners. It was crazy. I'm like, this is not helping your case. You're making her look insane.
Now, despite the fact that the first video kinda contradicted Jabbari's story, they showed another video to try to support her claims. Check this out.
Keep going. Here's what you want. No way.
No, basically, I just had to run out of the car. It's like a lie.
Well, what's funny is...
I don't want to leave you because we're about to get in our car. Can I help you get a car? Okay. I know where I live. So I live in... Alright. Okay, let's get you. In the car. Alright, fair game, girlie. No, hold on. I'm gonna hail you. Stop. And then you can pay me it.
Wait, Chloe, I have her wall. I have everything.
How much you got a lot of money?
I have $50
I saw. I'm gonna pretend that I
You guys have the best show there.
No, you think actually I'm honestly like
What?
I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed.
I'm a guy. I mean, my girlfriend's right there. I don't have tennis balls.
Here, give me your gun though. I'll give you
You
your
don't need your money. I have first.
Everything I have is fucking fun.
You put $30 if I'm ever homeless in like 5 years. You over 30.
We can't leave this girl. No,
We'll take our own goal. We'll take our own goal.
We got it. I have a card here too. Should I cancel it?
Okay.
No,
you're fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna get where you need to be. Okay, then you have to put that on him. That's his fault. Yo, bro. Chloe.
Now, Source, can you please give me like a slow-mo of that chick using her right hand, which supposedly has like a broken finger, doing her hair? Okay, so here we go. Despite having what she claims is a broken or fractured finger, this chick just did the infamous white girl double-handed twisty tie bun with full dexterity and range of motion, and showed the ability to use a pincer grasp and bend all 5 fingers without wincing once. Now ladies, you all know that despite the fact that that may look simple, that is a very complex level 10 hairstyling move. That particular move is very hard to do with like good fingers, let alone broken fingers. So as far as I'm concerned, that right there equals reasonable doubt. But just to be fair, because we like to be fair over here at the Source, it is possible to still bend your finger when you have a broken finger. I mean, it's not common, but it's possible. Now, what I find even more interesting is that when Jonathan walks by, she runs away from safety to follow him back down the street, and apparently she followed him back to the car and tried to get back in the Cadillac with him. But he shut the door in her face and was like, "Get out of here, arrivederci, scram, skedaddle." So she ran back to her saviors and decided to go clubbing with him. Okay, so when she gets into the club with the strangers that she just picked up on the street, there's more video evidence of her using that same hand that supposedly has the fractured finger to dig through her purse to find Jonathan's credit cards so that she could buy everybody drinks. And then, when she's by the DJ booth, she slams her head into the darn DJ booth. Now, after they finish partying, more video shows her using the same hand to jump back on her phone and like start texting. She's twiddling her fingers. Alright, so when the attorneys asked her how she was able to fully function with like the broken finger, she said that she was able to function because she's a dancer and she's accustomed to pain. And she also said that you can tell that she was beat up because when she was in that club, she wasn't dancing as well as she usually dances. Listen, you can't make this stuff up. So anyways, back to the point where like she's ready to go home. She's over there fumbling with the phone, and like they're saying that this is when Jonathan Majors sent her a text saying, "We breaking up, I can't do this anymore." But even though she got that text, she decides to go back to his home. And like she gets there around 3 a.m. and she calls him like 32 times. Now, sometime between 3 a.m. and 11 a.m., she ends up in the closet with her drawers off. Alright, so Jonathan Majors shows back up to the crib at around 11 a.m. and when he finds her unconscious in the closet, he's the one that calls the police. Now, according to the laws of our fair land, the burden of proof is on Jabbari and not on Jonathan. She's got to prove that he definitely did it beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt, and he doesn't legally have to prove anything. So, based on that fact, I think that they may dismiss this case because from what I've heard and seen, so far there's already some reasonable doubt as to whether or not he muffed her up on the night in question. Now, whether or not he muffed her up on a different night is a whole different story. But on this particular night, I can't see how a jury could possibly say with 100% certainty that he did it. Okay, so with that being said, I think that Jonathan and this chick had a very toxic relationship and that they should have never been together in the first place because they were probably physically and mentally abusive towards one another. His behind is dumb for getting with the crazy white chick and she's dumb as hell for getting with the dude that doesn't seem too quick. But listen, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Do you think that this case needs to be dismissed? Or do you think Jonathan Majors is guilty as hell? Let me know in the comments. And also, let me know something else. If Jonathan Majors wins this case and he gets the dismissal and walks away with the not guilty, how long before he dumps Megan Good for another white girl? I'ma say like 6 weeks just so it looks good. But I'm taking bets. Let me know what you think in the comments. And hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Source, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.